The discovery of a suspected object in the Ministry of Public Service in Yaoundé triggers fear and panic in the workers as the building is quickly evacuated and work suspended for the whole day. The exploitation of community forest in Cameroon raises a cause for concern as the forest communities cry foul against exploiters for cutting their resources away and leaving them in utter poverty. As the wearing of face masks in public space becomes obligatory in Cameroon, councils threaten to switch from sensitization to coercion to get people to the line. Those are our lead stories. Hello and welcome to the 7:30 News. I am Benn PUFONG.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Hello, thanks for joining us once again. There was panic today in the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform as a suspected object was found in the building. The incident caused an interruption of work in the ministry. Specialized services of the Defense and Security Forces are carrying out investigations to determine the exact nature of the object. The Minister of Public Service, Joseph Lay, has nonetheless reassured the public that the situation is under check and work that was suspended in the building that also hosts the Ministry of Secondary Education resumes tomorrow. Ebenezer Akanga reports.
It was shortly before midday this Monday, August 17, 2020, that a suspected object was found in a carton on the second floor of the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform. The carton is also said to have been containing some administrative documents. The discovery provoked panic as the personnel of the ministry ran helter-skelter, fearing that it could be an improvised explosive device. Specialized services of the Defense and Security Forces were called in. After examining the object, it was taken to the Secretariat of State for National Gendarmerie. Work was interrupted as access to the ministry was prohibited. Defense and Security Forces carried out a thorough search of the building. No human life was lost, nor material damage recorded. Meanwhile, the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform held a crisis meeting with his collaborators.
I would like to assure our users and our collaborators that our main building, our ministry, is already secured. So work can continue smoothly without any fear.
It is only at the end of investigations which are being carried out that the exact nature of the object will be known.
And some information is already triggering out of it. The latest information is talking of the package that was discovered. The suspected object contained the insulin equipment used for measuring of insulin, and that it was the machine that indicates the level of insulin in the system that was discovered inside the suspected object. And so there was just more fear than actually people were thinking. On to other developments in the news now. The National Commission on Bilingualism is getting set to descend on the field to size up the use of the two official languages in the public sphere in Cameroon. The commission members met in Yaoundé today via video conference to adopt a working document that will enable them make a proper appraisal of how the policy is being implemented by stakeholders. Once again, Ebenezer Akanga reports.
Presided over by the chairman of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, Peter Mafani Musonge, The meeting was to prepare for an evaluation mission on the effective implementation of the policy on the promotion of official languages in ministries. The meeting comes after the promulgation of the law of December 24, 2019 on the promotion of official languages in Cameroon. Discussions also focused on the Commission's warning signals with regards to recent happenings that could jeopardize harmonious living together in Cameroon. According to a press release issued at the end of the meeting, the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism is committed to actively contribute in stamping out excesses which are likely to jeopardize peace and stability in the country.
Finance and budgetary experts in Cameroon are currently meeting in Yaoundé to evaluate the budgetary and financial health of some state-run programs and projects. The 8-day deliberations that group Secretary General, project heads and coordinators were opened by the Minister of Economy, Alamin Usman May. As Lou Muslim Davis reports, the reflections will be crowned by a methodological guide for medium-term expenditure for the period spanning from 2021 to 2023. Luma?
The conference will seek to fine-tune the triennial programming of state expenditures between 2021 and 2023.
Over the last almost 10 years, we have been implementing a new paradigm in terms of preparation of projects, budgeting, executing and evaluating all these operations.
Participants will examine and validate midterm expenditures of constitutional organs and ministerial departments on the basis of guiding the budget.
The lessons are very simple: more discipline, better preparation of projects, better allocation of resources, greater monitoring of execution such that beneficiaries, which are the population, at the end of the day see that the state is realizing the projects they are expecting, and that's impacting their living condition.
The Yaoundé and Simalen Express Road and the preparation of the second phase of the Yaoundé-Douala and Kribi-Lolabe highways are some priority projects to be considered for budget programming.
7 officials of the Ministry of Secondary Education and the Baccalaureate Board have been suspended in connection with the leakage of the 2020 Baccalaureate General Examination. The question leakage led to the cancellation of 3 subjects of the examinations for which the board was compelled to organize a receipt. Beauty Ngum reports on the suspension order as was presented to the press in Yaoundé today.
3 of the 7 culprits identified as being linked to the leakage that marred the smooth conduct of the Bac General exams are from the Ministry of Secondary Education, and the 4 others are direct recruits of the Office du Baccalauréat du Cameroun. They work mainly in the department where scripts are printed according to the findings of the Administrative Commission of Inquiry, the minister told media practitioners.
Mr. Roger Etienne Minkulu has been instructed to ensure the full application of the measures taken.
They have been suspended for a period of 3 months on the basis of negligence and some for complicity, leading to the leakage that saw a receipt of 3 subjects in the Bac General.
The Minister of Secondary Education wishes to reassure the national and international community that the credibility of the 2020 session of the baccalaureate examinations has been preserved.
The culprits will equally be handed over to the competent services of the state to answer for their offenses.
The question of exploitation in Cameroon is back on the spotlight. More and more, local populations within and around such forest reserves have been raising their voices to decry the non-respect of laid-down laws that regulate such exploitation, especially because their communities benefit almost nothing from the activities of the exploiters. A case in point is the Ngambe Forest Reserve in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral Region, where our reporter Alfonso Bongwa Acho jumpstarts our week-long series on forest misappropriation by exploiters.
The Ngambe subdivision occupies close to 500 square kilometers of land surface with a blanket of about 50,000 hectares of forest. In August 2013, a prime ministerial decree classified some 17,326 hectares of the Ngambe forest as a private domain of the Ngambe Council. The forest spans the villages of Putkak, Bakombe, Botko, Nsumenyel, amongst others. According to the president of the Forest Committee of the Ndokmakumak Development Association, the woods from their land are a significant source of wealth.
Our land has very prestigious woods like Bobinga, Makore, and several other species that have a great value added in terms of commercialization.
Lately, this wealth has been a source of attraction for several exploiters whose activities are reportedly taking an illegal twist.
The United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, and the French government come to Cameroon's assistance in the ongoing fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The two today donated a stock of emergency medical supplies to the Ministry of Public Health worth 22 billion CFA francs. The resident representative of the UNDP, Alassane Ba, and the representative of the French ambassador, Philippe Larieux, handed over the equipment to the public health bus in a solemn ceremony here in Yaoundé. The 7:30 News dossier tonight zooms in on the wearing of face masks that government has rendered obligatory on everyone operating in the public space in Cameroon. Ever since the measure was announced, councils in the country have been multiplying strategies to implement them, with most of them already switching from sensitization to coercion. Beatrice Losamba spoke with some mayors on how they are leading the fight on the ground and pieced together this story.
Mayors spring into action, heeding to instructions from the Prime Minister, who says they are now largely responsible for enforcing the mask mandate.
We never cease calling the attention to wearing masks.
We continue to sensitize the population by notices in public places.
When necessary, they intend to provide the masks.
We give 40,000 masks.
In some council areas, defaulters are called up.
When we see you not wearing a mask, we stop you, and you have to call someone to bring your mask to be freed.
And if need be, municipalities say they intend to go the hard way.
Municipal police to be everywhere to be sure that each citizen is wearing effectively his mask.
But note that the police will only come in as a last option. Councils say they need backing from the law to impose fines and oblige people to comply. Meanwhile, they're not sitting back and watch people go astray.
While Cameroonians are shunning the wearing of the face mask, elsewhere on the globe, face masks are becoming the most sought-after item on the market. In these countries, the wearing of face masks is obligatory and citizens are complying with it to the letter. Ewane Epole reports on the cases of countries like China, France and Morocco, whose respect for face masks is drawing international admiration.
Many governments across the globe are making the wearing of face masks a precondition for lifting lockdowns, allowing people to return to shops, offices and factories. More than 50 countries around the world are reported to have made it compulsory to wear a face mask in public places as coronavirus continues to claim lives. In China, for example, authorities are dishing out embarrassing public punishments to those caught without face masks. People are also being paraded through towns, tied to poles, and in some cases beaten to the ground for breaking strict virus lockdown rules. Meanwhile, France has also made the wearing of face masks mandatory. Those breaching the order face a fine of 135 euros and the penalty rises to 6 months in prison for anyone violating it for more than 3 times in the space of a month. In Africa, Africa, the Moroccan government has amended their law as those caught in public without a face mask have the option of paying a fine of $140 in cash or in prison for 6 months.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Public health experts are expressing a strong worry as to the lukewarm and laissez-aller attitude of Cameroonians with respect to the barrier measures against the COVID-19 pandemic. Most of them have not only given up on the wearing of the masks, but also utterly ignore all the physical distancing prescriptions. With over 1,100 active cases in the country already, the health professionals fear an escalation if the barrier measures were to be ignored the way they currently are by Cameroonians. Let's now join Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Joseph Fonkam, at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center as they talk on why it is crucial to strictly respect the COVID-19 barrier measures. Hello, Baldwin. Good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Good evening to you, Benn, MENO, PUFONG, and welcome. Difficult to believe, but it is true. The lukewarm attitude by many Cameroonians vis-à-vis the spread of the deadly virus in the country presently, where most of them have vehemently stopped respecting all these barrier measures. The take-home message from here is that Cameroonians must continue respecting all these barrier measures in order for us to stop the spread of the coronavirus. With us tonight, Dr. Joseph Fonkam, who is a virologist. We talk about this. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Bardin.
As a virologist, and given that we have over 1,117 active cases in the country presently, the virus still exists. Explain to Cameroonians how this virus operates.
Effectively, at the Chantal Biya International Reference Centers and in other reference laboratories, we keep seeing new cases of infections every day of coronavirus 2. And what we found interesting is that these new cases of infections, those who are positive, about half of them are asymptomatic. So they have no symptom, they will keep on transmitting the virus in the community. Also, what we have also discovered in our context is that in terms of the period, there is a high viral load during the first week of infection. So people within that first week, they might still be without symptom, they will keep on transmitting the virus as well in our community. Now, the age range in Cameroon where we have the highest viral load, there are those who are aged between 20 and 45 years. And these are the active people working in the community, going to the market, in the street. So we need to target them to make sure we should be able to reduce down the viral load and cut down the epidemiological chain in our community.
And finally, Doctor, what message do you have for those Cameroonians out there watching us this evening who have this conception that the virus no longer exists and they have stopped respecting these barrier measures?
So effectively, actually, coronavirus is still present in our context. We still keep seeing positive cases, and as we earlier mentioned, those who stand at high risk of infection, they are those in the active population. That's why we have in our street what we call the mobile campaign screening. Whenever you find this campaign screening in our community, please feel free. It is free of charge. Go for testing. If you are positive, we are going to keep you on confinement. If you are negative, we are going to give you measures to keep a safety practice measure such that within some few months, Cameroon may be able to eliminate completely the coronavirus.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Fonkam, a virologist. The take-home message equally from here is they should continue wearing a face mask. They should continue respecting physical distancing when they find themselves in public places. Regular washing of our hands for everybody. When you respect most of these outline measures by the government, whether we want it or not, together as one, we are going to stop or limit the spread of the deadly coronavirus in Cameroon. Back to you, Benn, MENO, PUFONG.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, with those updates. And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. The relationship between the University of Douala and the United Bank for Africa, UBA, has been formalized following a partnership agreement signed between both institutions. The agreement provides new digital solutions to the university that will facilitate financial transactions as well as curb the student registration and fee payment procedures. Larry's Nane Pote reports from Douala.
The win-win partnership agreement signed August 12 by the United Bank of Africa UBA and the University of Douala comes to strengthen the relationship between the two institutions, as the university will henceforth receive innovative and digital upgrading in the running of their finances at the level of administrative accounts and the payment of fees by students of the institution.
This convention is all about facilitating payment of students' fees. It's all about enable students not to come and line up in our branches or any other branches in country, but to pay from their telephone, let it be smartphone or non-smart, all the fees that they need.
While signing the deal, the Deputy Managing Director of UBA Cameroon, Margaret Atanga, representing the Managing Director, Dominique Mahen, said a biometric card containing student-related information shall be provided for every student. The card will help the administration of the University of Douala to keep an account of the overall number of regular students, as well as identification for students of the university.
This will also enable the university officials to be able to do the traceability of all the payment without any problem.
The holders of the student biometric card will benefit from advantages offered by the national network of UBA Cameroon. A software will equally be provided by the bank for the university to effectively monitor in real time any movement on its account with UBA. Professor Magloire Ondwa, rector of the University of Douala, has solicited the United Bank for Africa for sponsorship of research programs, prepaid cards, infrastructural projects, among others. The Pan-African Bank UBA, present in Cameroon since 2008, has 18 branches nationwide, 8 of which are in Douala.
And this Monday, we continue with our series on discovering some of the tourist heritage of Cameroon. And in today's parade, we'll be taking you to the East region, where our reporters out there say they will be taking us to a mountain that is a must-go destination for anyone visiting in that part of the country. Let's follow the guide.
Situated some 10 kilometers on the outskirts of Baturi, chief town of the Kadei division in the east region of Cameroon, the Bogogo mountain overlooks the city. According to the indigenes of that locality, the Bogogo mountain, or the White Mountain in the local language, served like a hideout for dignitaries of the Kako, the dominant tribe in the Kadei against colonial penetration. Bogogo, during the days of tribal wars, our parents used to come and hide here. Our parents' falls came from here at Bogogo because the superior chief in those days used to bring his army and receive power here. After the colonial period, the Mount Bogogo has remained a tourist site for a number of curious individuals. The Mount Bogogo constitutes one of the touristic treasures in the East region because of its natural and wonderful panoramic view of a countryside that attracts visitors, an irresistible destination that takes one closer to the natural attractions that some religious bodies and the Cameroon government are conserving and protecting.
What a sight to fathom out there. The locality of Mada in the Far North region will soon host a chapel to be erected in honor of the pioneer Catholic evangelist in northern Cameroon, Reverend Father Simon Mpeke, popularly known in that sphere as Baba Simon. The foundation stone of the edifice was laid over the weekend in a ceremony co-presided by the Bishop of the Marwa Mokolo Diocese, Bruno Atebaido, and the Speaker of Cameroon's National Assembly, Kovai Yege. Kabayege Jibril. The two personalities used the event to pray for interreligious dialogue and peaceful coexistence in Cameroon. Sylvester Atemken reports from CRTV South Far North.
Beyond communion between two personalities of different religious backgrounds representing distinct institutions, the meeting between the Speaker of the National Assembly, Right Honorable Kabayege Jibril, and the Bishop of Marwa Mokolo Diocese, His Lordship Bruno Ateba Edo, is a hallmark of pacific coexistence. Cameroon's House Speaker enjoined the prelate to pray for long-lasting peace in the country, good health to the leaders and all citizens. An exhortation translated into action by Monsignor Bruno Ateba Edo, who blessed the newly constructed council building of Tokumbere, from where he interceded that Cameroonians from across the board live in harmony.
I want to thank His Excellency Monsignor to be here to preside this very important ceremony here. When you see in the mountain, we always have the benediction for Baba Simon.
The mustard seed sown in Tokumbere Amada is expected to flourish with a multiplier effect.
September 26, 2020 is the tentative date set aside by the Cameroon Football Federation for the start of the 2020-2021 Elite 1 and 2 football championships in Cameroon. Prior to the start of these championships, football pundits have been wondering as to how professional our football championships can become, given the lack of infrastructure, poor organization, and no branding. And those are some of the factors that have marred the possibilities of rendering the football championship in the country truly professional. In our slot talk of the day today, Baldwin Sama went investigating and now tells us what must be done for our championship, that is the Cameroonian Football Championship, to become a veritable professional deal.
It has been existing under the so-called slogan of professionalism. Cameroon's Elite 1 and 2 football championships have for many years lacked what professionalism is all about. And to get there, infrastructure and organization are key.
Provide sufficient infrastructure for the running of the league, because playing at stadiums like Oja, where the turf is not good, where you don't have stands, it's not professional at all. We equally need an effective organization at the level of FECAFOOT, because a championship, we need to have a clean-cut calendar.
Football should be seen as business for some.
A professional club is supposed to be run like a business, and the clubs have to have players with clear and defined contracts.
Clubs and football officials must communicate and give way to branding.
Government has to get companies and other parastatals involved in the sponsoring of clubs, and government should exonerate these companies that are sponsoring club football activities.
The wait may be long, but if recommendations are respected, then professionalism may not be far-fetched.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television this Monday evening. That's the way it was. Bye-bye.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.